At Suzuka's podium ceremony after the Japanese Grand Prix, Formula One's new championship leader was handed a bottle without a label, no champagne, because at 19 years old, Kimi Antonelli is too young to legally drink alcohol in Japan. The same teenager who had just won back-to-back Grands Prix. The same teenager who had just become the youngest driver in the entire history of Formula One to lead the World Championship. The same teenager who in the space of 3 races had broken records that Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, and Max Verstappen held for years. He celebrated with sparkling water, and he is already the most dangerous driver on the grid. Who is Kimi Antonelli? Andrea Kimi Antonelli was born on the 25th of August 2006 in Bologna, Italy. That date matters. And it means he's competing in Formula One while still being the age most people are when they are finishing their first year of university. His path to the top was not accidental. After a successful karting career, culminating in back-to-back victories at the Senior European Championship in 2020 and 2021, Antonelli graduated to Junior Formulae. He won titles in Italian and ADAC F4 in 2022 with Prima, claimed both the Formula Regional European and Middle East Championships, before progressing to FYA Formula 2 in 2024, where he won 2 races, finishing 6th overall. Mercedes identified him early and developed him deliberately, and he was confirmed to remain at Mercedes alongside George Russell for their 2026 master plan, widely expected by insiders and bookmakers to be a contender amid the new power unit and chassis regulations. What nobody predicted was the speed at which he would take over the championship. 3 races, 3 records, 1 teenager. The 2026 season has been 3 rounds old, and Antonelli has already rewritten the record books in ways that demand serious attention. China was where it started properly. Antonelli became the youngest pole sitter in Formula One history at the Chinese Grand Prix, breaking Sebastian Vettel's record that had stood since the 2008 Italian Grand Prix. Vettel was 21 years, 2 months, and 11 days old when he took that pole at Monza. Yet Antonelli was 19 years and 6 months, nearly 2 years younger. Then he won the race. Back-to-back wins on Sunday at Suzuka followed his success in China at the previous round, where he became the youngest Grand Prix winner in the process. And then in Japan, after winning again from pole position despite a disastrous start that dropped him to 6th on the opening lap, came the record that put everything in perspective. Kimi Antonelli became the youngest driver ever to top the F1 championship, and remarkably, he is the first driver to lead the championship at under 20 years old, and in fact the first to do so before turning 22. The previous record was held by Lewis Hamilton, who became championship leader at the 2007 Spanish Grand Prix in just his 4th race and debut season, at 22 years, 4 months, and 6 days old. Antonelli broke it at 19 years, 7 months, and 4 days, nearly 3 years younger than Hamilton's historic mark. The Japanese Grand Prix, how he did it. The win at Suzuka was not clean, it was not straightforward, and that, in many ways, is what made it most impressive. Antonelli started from pole position, but suffered a terrible start and dropped as low as 6th on the opening lap. Piastri took the early lead ahead of Leclerc, with Norris, Russell, and Hamilton all overtaking Antonelli in the opening chaos. A lesser driver, especially a 19-year-old in his 2nd season, might have panicked. Antonelli did not. He methodically worked his way back through the field. The crucial moment came approaching the midpoint of the 53-lap race, with Mercedes teammate George Russell pitting from the lead just as a safety car was deployed following the heavy crash for Ollie Behrman. The caution allowed new race leader Antonelli to make his pit stop and rejoin at the front of the field before romping to victory by nearly 14 seconds. He whooped with delight as he crossed the line, telling his team, "The pace was unbelievable today." The championship table after 3 rounds told the full story. Antonelli holds 72 points, 9 clear of Mercedes teammate George Russell in 2nd. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton sit 3rd and 4th. Max Verstappen, a 4-time world champion and winner in Japan for the previous 4 consecutive years, sits 9th with just 12 points. The Mercedes machine behind him. Antonelli's individual brilliance is real, but it exists inside a technical context that cannot be ignored. Mercedes emerged as the leading constructor over Ferrari with a superior energy recovery system on the W17, and in a season defined by the new 50-50 hybrid regulations, that energy recovery advantage has been decisive. In the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes stretches its lead to 45 points over Ferrari, while McLaren lies a further 44 adrift in 3rd. This is not a close fight at the top. So this is a team that understood the new regulations better than anyone else and built a car that exploits them more effectively than anyone else, with 2 drivers capable of challenging for the title running 1-2 in the standings. The irony is sharp. The regulations that have made Max Verstappen miserable enough to consider retirement are the same regulations that have handed Mercedes a platform to dominate in a way they have not since the hybrid era of 2014 to 2016. Same rule change. Completely opposite outcomes depending on where you are on the grid. How good is Antonelli really? The records are one thing, context is another, and context is what turns impressive statistics into something truly historic. Among the youngest drivers to first lead the championship, the pattern has always leaned toward maturity. 5 drivers first led at age 23, 3 at 24, 5 at 25, and 7 at 26. Even the legends of the sport followed that curve. Michael Schumacher did not lead the championship until he was 25 years old. Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, 2 of the most complete drivers the sport has ever seen, both first led it at 26. And then there is Kimi Antonelli, 19 years old, not just younger, radically younger, operating in a space that Formula One history has never really seen before. The statistical isolation of that achievement is not just impressive, it is borderline absurd. It places him outside the normal developmental curve of elite drivers, in territory that forces a different kind of conversation. Not how good could he be, but how soon is too soon for dominance. But numbers alone don't tell the full story. Records can be situational, they can be influenced by machinery, timing, or even luck. What cannot be faked? What truly defines a championship-caliber driver is how they respond when things go wrong. That is where Antonelli's performance at Suzuka becomes far more important than any age-related milestone. Antonelli didn't panic. He didn't force desperate overtakes or burn through his tires trying to recover instantly. He reset. Lap by lap, corner by corner, he rebuilt the race. That kind of composure, especially under pressure, is not normal for a driver at this stage of their career. It is the difference between raw speed and race intelligence, and that distinction matters, because Formula One history is filled with drivers who were fast enough to lead championships early in a season. Far fewer had the control, discipline, and emotional stability to sustain that lead across an entire year. Winning titles is not just about peak performance, it is about consistency under pressure. That is what Antonelli is beginning to show. Even more telling was his reaction after the race. There was no over-celebration, no sense of disbelief, no hint that he was overwhelmed by the moment. Instead, his focus shifted immediately to improvement. His starts, already identified as a weakness, became the priority. "It's still early days to think about the championship," he said. That sentence alone says everything. At 19, leading the World Championship, having just broken one of Hamilton's long-standing records, and his instinct is not to celebrate, it is to refine, to correct, to get better. That is not the mindset of someone enjoying a breakthrough moment. That is the mindset of someone constructing something long-term. Because the reality is simple. Talent gets you noticed, but mentality keeps you at the front. Antonelli leads the championship. He stood on the podium without champagne because he is not legally allowed to drink it. And when asked how it feels, his response was understated, almost casual. "It feels pretty good. 19 years old, championship leader, completely unfazed." The season, however, is still young. Miami is next. Different circuit, different conditions, different pressures, and now a new variable: expectation. Every team on the grid is no longer evaluating whether Antonelli belongs at the front. That question has already been answered. Now they are asking something much more urgent. Can anyone actually stop him? Because if the answer is no, then Formula One is not just witnessing a breakout season, it is witnessing the beginning of an era. Hit subscribe for weekly F1 coverage. Drop your thoughts in the comments on whether Antonelli can hold the championship lead all the way to the title, and the next video is already on screen. See you there.